Welcome back to my channel. In this tutorial we will talk about a wallet application and we are going to implement the design that I'm going to show you right now. Here we have the list of cards, and as you see, when we click on the cards they are expanding, and I'm going to explain how can we implement this kind of design. So let's get started. Okay, my friends, here is the screen that we are going to start to working on. That is the home page and it is called Wallet Home. So it is gonna be stateless widget. Here, as you see, we have the app bar and then we have the body. So the body is the card widget that we are going to work, and I'm not going to explain how to design this card because instead of consuming time on this card, I'm just going to directly start to implement stacking of the cards. And before you start, you will be able to get the codes for this card widget. I will just share the repository in GitHub and then you can get the codes, then start with me. As a first step, what I'm going to do, I will wrap the card widget inside of list view. So for that, first of all, I wrap it with the column, then I wrap it with the list view. So why I'm using the list view? Because I want something which is going to be scrollable, okay, and that's going to be our card widget. And here, instead of using just the one card widget, I would like to use, for example, 5 of it. And now issue is that that is not a proper way. I will take the card widget and here I'm just going to say list dot generate, and I want, for example, 5 of it, and then as a generator I will use the function and return my card widget. And now it is complaining because it says that the list of card widget can't be assigned to the list type widget. So what can we do here? We can just use 3 dots. So this is spread operator, and in that case the error is gone. Now if we check our screen, as you see, we get the scrollable list and we have 5 card widget right over here. Now as a next step, I would like to stack these cards on each other. So how can we achieve this? There are lots of ways of doing that, and in that part I'm going to use align widget, which is going to give the effect of stack. So in order to use the align, I would like to go to the card widget, and inside of the build method we have the container. So I will wrap the container with the align widget, and inside of the align widget we have height factor. And for example, if I set the height factor to 0.5, let's see what's going to happen. And as you can see, the elements is stacked on each other. Actually, that is not a way of stacking the elements on each other, but the height factor is actually giving the effect of stack. So that's why I'm using the height factor. And the second problem is that we cannot scroll to the top. Actually, we can scroll, but we cannot keep the position in the top. In order to solve that, we have to change the alignment to top center. So here, if I take the alignment and if I use the alignment dot top center, and now we can scroll to the top, but we cannot scroll to the bottom. So that's the next problem that we get. Why we cannot scroll to the bottom? Because here problem is that we are also applying the height factor to the last element. So we have the 5 cards, and just because we are applying it to the last one as well, we cannot scroll to the bottom. So we have to just use the height factor as a 1 for the last one, and for the rest of them it should be 0.5 or maybe something different. I will explain why we are actually doing this, but before that let me solve this problem. So here in order to detect if that is the last element or not, we have to get the index from the constructor. So here I will say final int index, and then I will just take it from the constructor. Now here it is complaining that we have to pass the index to the card widget, so that's why I will pass the index here and I will delete the constant. Then here I will just use index and I will detect if it is the last one or not. So here I will just say if index is equal to 4, then the height factor is gonna be 1. Otherwise it is going to be 0.5. So if I restart application, I can scroll to the top and I can also scroll to the bottom. The problem is solved, but actually that is not the proper way. First of all, we are using the hard-coded because if we are getting the list of cards from the API, so it is not always gonna be 5 elements. Here, just because I know that there are 5 cards, I can say that, okay, if the index is 4, that means that is the last element. Then you can use the height factor as a 1. But before that, I would like to explain what happens if we use the 1 as a height factor, or if we use 0.5 or maybe 0.1 like that. Height factor is gonna be used like this. First of all, we have height for our card, which is 500. So each card has the 500 height pixels, okay? And when we use height factor, it is gonna be multiplied by the height of the container. So for example, if we say 1, height for the container is gonna be 500, which means whole of the height. But if I use 0.1, it is going to be multiplied by the 500, and in that case the height for the cards is going to be 50. Basically only 50 pixels from the card is going to be visible and anything else is going to be invisible. That's it. That's the whole point of using the height factor, and also that is giving the effect of stack of the cards, okay? And now here I would like to use 0.15, and now it is gonna give us what actually we want. Secondly, in order to not use hard-coded value, I will also take the length of the list basically. So here I will say length, and then in the constructor I will just make it required, and then here I'm just going to say a length. Here I know that it is 5, but if you have a list, you can just say list.length. Okay, so here I will come back to the card widget and I will use this length. So here, instead of using the 4, I will just say widget.length minus 1, which means if it is the last element, use the height factor of 1, which means use the whole height. If it is not the last element, so only use this much of the height, okay? And here we get this kind of design.